What's the nastiest thing you've seen at a party? I was at a house party years ago, and there were about 10 people crammed into a very small bedroom. A 16-year-old girl does her first beer bong, with room temperature Milwaukee's Best, for non-Americans, one of the pissiest of pissy US beers. She managed to finish it, wide-eyed and shaking her head in denial of what we could all see coming. She proceeds to projectile vomit every drop of liquid she'd consumed, but for some unholy reason kept thrashing her head around as if to deny it or make it not happen. I've never seen so much throw up in my entire life, and since she was more or less in one corner of the room, I don't think there was a single person in there that didn't get hit by the explosion. My best friend, whose room it was, took the brunt of it. The initial blast took the poor sucker directly in the face. I managed to curl up into a terrified little ball and only had the side of my arm and leg hit. It was just the worst puke ever. This kid had to take at least 2 deep breaths in between puke geysers. Blugga blugga blug. Inhale. Blugga lababa. Inhale. Bledja dribble. Cow 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 sob sob. It was an amazing, horrible thing to witness, like I imagine a poison gas attack would be. Everyone reacted as though someone had dropped a grenade. Some tried to flee, literally climbing over one another and jamming up in the doorway trying to escape at the same time. Some, like myself, just sort of hit the deck and prayed they would be spared. It was a goddamn war zone of bath afterwards. Furniture had to be thrown away. A GameCube was destroyed. Afterwards, this poor girl just looks around in horror at what she'd done and breaks down into the most choking sobs I've ever seen. It took us a little while to feel bad for her, but, of course, it could have happened to anyone. A GameCube was destroyed. Ha 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 ha. My friend did a backflip on a trampoline while at a party and pee drunk. Ended up clipping his chin on the metal part of the trampoline and opening it up. There was a bit of blood but not that much, however he definitely needed stitches in his chin. So a friend who is an army medic thought it'd be a good idea to stitch said friend's chin up with a sewing needle and some thread. He actually did a pretty neat job of it, as the friend who whacked his chin didn't want to leave the party. All was going well until a person who had arrived to the party after the incident thought the person had a piece of thread on his chin and decided to yank it off, not knowing we had stitched his chin. Had to pick the lock to the bathroom because this girl had not responded for some time. Coming in, we find her sleeping over the toilet, puke in the bowl. Her pants were down, but not the thong, and she had managed to crap herself, splitting the crap right down the middle. Classic log splitter. Someone crapping in a kettle and then switching it on. Room cleared. Can someone find the post where the guy threw up chunks of fruit in the punch bowl, and people ate the chunks all night? That's got to be one of the worst. Girl gets wasted, proceeds to get butt-ass naked and finger herself on the couch for all of the party to see. Made for an awkward internship environment for the rest of the summer. One of my guy friends chugged 151 straight from the bottle for 10 seconds. He then proceeded to projectile vomit on everyone in a 3-foot radius exorcist style. Dang. I chugged half a fifth of Cuervo straight from the bottle on New Year's. I woke up in the hospital and apparently I had thrown a jar of nacho cheese and chips around my living room. Some guy was just walking around naked carrying a poodle. He was erect. It's called presenting. We were having a party at my apartment. Last day frick that place kind of party. And there were like 8 people out on our little balcony smoking cigarettes. And there was one chick holding her beer. And she seemed pretty fricked up. But pretty much everyone was. But she was standing right in the middle of the balcony. Puts the beer in her hand up to her lips and proceeds to vomit. She thinks the bottle will catch the vomit. But instead it was like putting your thumb over the end of a hose and just sprinkled the entire freaking balcony. I mean, top to bottom everyone out there was just covered. I did this once. Was wandering around Isla Vista in Santa Barbara on Halloween my freshman year, going into the various house parties that were happening. We walked into one random house to check it out and it was pretty crowded. I noticed some space over near the kitchen and headed through the crowd. As soon as I turned the corner into the room, however, I was greeted by what I could only describe in the few seconds I saw it as a heavier set girl dressed as what I could only guess was some sort of healthcare worker, getting blowed up against the wall by a small ginger kid in a 300 costume with a pile of puke on the floor beneath them. Got the frick out of that party real quick. Classic Isla Vista. Freshman year of college. 2011. A guy ate a digested piece of poop corn from a toilet bowl for box of wine. We called him the Colonel, until he dropped out less than a month into the semester. In high school, I was at a party and there was a Chinese girl there who must have been about 4 feet 9 inches. She was wasted. I remember standing next to her and looking at her, and she had turned a color that I can't even describe. She then got down on all fours and threw up everywhere. The most horrid looking puke I'd ever seen. All over my shoes and the carpet. Everyone went dead silent. For some reason, I asked her, "What did you eat?" and she looked up at me from the floor, eyes bloodshot, puke dribbling down her face, and said, "Baja fresh," and then threw up all over again. Chartreuse. The color was chartreuse. I watched my best friend's dad put a $20 bill in his daughter's pants while she was pretending to strip. He encouraged her to take it off and watched as she made out with dudes. Oh, and to add to it, while the sister was hot, think Kirby Smulders only at 16, while the dad was a big biker dude who looked like he would have rode with the Sons of Anarchy. Chick who spent the evening bragging about her family and significant time talking about her son's special needs. Out of nowhere spread eagle on the kitchen floor and was eaten out, with 4 guys in line to do the same. No, her husband wasn't there. No, it wasn't that kind of party. There weren't even that many people there and she wasn't even drunk. She was a co-worker of our friends and she had joined us after the bar closed. Friend lived nearby. Awkward party. Clearly it was that kind of party. Some dude was bet $50 to slam a cup that was 1 stroke too full of chew spit, cigarette butts and 2 shots of vodka. He got 2 quick swigs in before projectile vomit erupted across the kitchen. The crowd roared. He got the $50 though, so that's cool. My friend's ex came to crash his housewarming party at his new apartment. At some point she got incredibly drunk and took a crap in the elevator. My friend had long passed out, so I took a bag, picked it up and tossed in the garbage chute. I could feel the warmth through the plastic. Sigh. In the morning after someone let her know what she did, she asked me if it was at least cute. She wanted to know if her poop was cute. What? I was at a party in high school at a girl's house and no one there was showing the house any respect. Holes in the walls, broken crap, stolen crap, the works. Anyway, this one guy decides to take a crap on a cookie sheet, put it in the oven, and bake it at 350. Incredible. Never in my life have I seen or smelled anything quite like that. In college my friends and I at some point decided buying airsoft pellet guns was a good idea. We'd get drunk, then play a fun game called ricochet roulette. You weren't allowed to directly shoot the person. Rather, you had to bounce your shot off the wall into the person. We'd play this stupid game in the sunken living room in a house full of people. One night my friend Pete was very drunk and insisted we play. Invariably someone would always get pee and directly shoot someone else in retaliation. So to curb this, we created a rule by which everyone else playing would shoot the offender. Anyway, not too long into play, Pete shoots someone, and we all shoot him. He storms off like a child, then a few minutes later comes rushing back into the room with 2 airsoft guns. There's a Mexican standoff moment and partygoers are yelling at Pete, "It's not worth it, man. Walk away." Out of nowhere Pete raises his guns in the air and screams there was a firefight and starts shooting up into the air. This would have been hilarious. We were all fans of Boondock Saints, except he was standing under the light fixture. Glass shower down on him and the lights go out. Everyone is like, "WTF?" Pete, and starts to move around trying to get some light in the room. Some flips on the adjacent kitchen light and Pete is passed out on a bed of broken glass. Not injured by the light, just used his last remaining energy to frick things up. Part is over. I walk home. I swing by the next afternoon and all the roommates are cleaning up. Pete walks up to me and says, "Hey, this is actual. You wouldn't happen to know what happened to the light last night, do you?" Implying I had done it. Freaking Pete. Fortunately there were some people that saw the whole thing, so I was able to set him straight real quick. Any sort of porta potty at any music festival. The worst times are early in the morning, right before the sun comes up. I was actually relieved to open each one and only see a mountain of crap overflowing above the top of the toilet seat. Versus all of that mess and my worst nightmare, which was finding someone in their drug frenzy hanging out, or even worse, having sex in one of these horrific places. I just began waiting until 8 AM to use them immediately after the cleaning trucks came by, and I was always first in line. Add LSD to this equation and you're gonna have a bad time. This is definitely not the response you were expecting. But, one time, when I was 9 or so, my parents hired this reptile guy to host my birthday party. He brought this huge lizard and it projectile pooped all over our living room. Not really a party, but I saw two guys whip out their dongs in the middle of the mosh and pee on each other at an Eminem concert a couple weeks ago. You people seem alright. Your friends, however, are freaking disgusting. Friends. I got a lap dance from a M-mouthed, obese, energy drink chugging chick on my 21st birthday. I turned in, and as I drifted off to sleep, she belly flopped onto and subsequently broke down through the slats of my Ikea bed. She was wasted, and she just rolled around on the disabled furniture repeating "AHM gonna steamroll ya. AHM gonna steamroll your" sounds like something some B-rate supervillain would say. It was one of my first college parties and a guy on my floor made the mistake of talking to a football player's girlfriend while the guy was just a few feet away. He immediately came over and started screaming at the guy and shoving him. So he just ran off out of the party rather than getting his ass beat or thrown out, and assuming it was over everyone just goes back to partying until a few minutes later when he returns and taps the big linebacker on the shoulder, and as soon as he turns around slaps him right across the face. What we did not realize at first was that he had ran off and masturbated into his hand before coming back. No pun intended. The football player is pretty much stunned and stands there long enough for the guy to run off one final time. The surprise on that football player's CM smeared face still disgusts and amazes me. Comes lap. Piddle scoot. It started as just a normal high school party and turned into the most legendary night of all. There was this gross girl that was blacked out on ramen for locusts and was found in another room by herself, sitting butt-ass naked on a hardwood floor in a large-sized puddle of urine. Once everyone had gathered there to see the spectacle, she tried to scoot towards the bathroom door, smearing pee and a few dingleberries across the wood floor. Once she made it into the bathroom, the door closed and a loud glass broke from inside. The kid whose parents owned the house went in and found her laying in another pile of pee, now mixed in with blood from the broken glass that mildly sliced her ankle. And the alcohol caught up to her stomach and she was now puking everywhere. The grossest part was dragging her downstairs and throwing her in the shower. It took like 5 people trading off in between holding your puke down from the stench. I fed her croutons in a drunken attempt to sober her up, and once she washed all the puke, pee, and blood out of her hair and regained a sense of reality, she was super embarrassed. Apparently she did the same thing again a few months later. I fed her croutons in a drunken attempt to sober her up. I love drunken attempts to sober people up. Had a New Year's Eve party in a hotel with a bunch of my friends. This was going into 2000, so we felt the need to party extra hard. We had a guy come in, take shots with every person there, pounded vodka out of the bottle. 10 minutes pass and he is in the bathroom puking and peeing on himself while people throw tortilla chips at him, telling him he needs something in his stomach to combat the vomiting. Only one person knew this guy. Never saw him again. But Doug the Drunk's legend lives on in my circle of friends. It all happened in the span of 15 minutes. Same thing happened to me kind of. I don't remember his name. It could have been Doug. Was standing out on a balcony at this party. Guy drives up, asks which door to go through, comes up, drinks like 10 beers, introduces himself to everyone, then pieces out 20 minutes later. No one knew who the frick he was. You have been visited by the pizza of sleepiness. Good dreams and rest will come to you, but only if you comment sleep tight, pizza. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.